Vicki here for Hero Arts, and today I'm going to create this fun little card using my favorite set of stamps from Stamp Your Story collection and some perfect pearls. So to get started, I grab my favorite set of stamps, which is actually called my favorite, and I'm going to use the feather, my favorite as a sentiment, and a little bird to make this repeated pattern with a highlighted area in perfect pearls. So to get started, I have a piece of dark cardstock, which is navy, and some unicorn pigment ink and the little bird to create a repeated pattern in white ink to start. So I'm just going to take that little stamp and ink it up with some white ink. Make sure you don't press too hard in this ink because it tends to bleed because it's really juicy. And then go ahead and find the center mark on your navy cardstock. I didn't measure it exactly because I kind of want the look to be loose and painterly to go with the whole Stamp Your Story kind of look. So go ahead and set up your center image and then fill in the birds all around the card, leaving the bottom right hand corner empty so we can put our perfect pearls bird in there. So I just went in and finished it, and then I set this with a heat gun so the white ink would not bleed. I cleaned off the stamp and then I inked it up with some perfect medium, which actually works perfect with the perfect pearls. It's a Ranger product. So go ahead and ink up your stamp, and then I just added it to the bottom corner. Now this is a wet effect, so you actually want to work with the perfect pearls while the ink is still wet, so it will bind with the perfect pearls. So go ahead and take a small brush and add a little bit of perfect pearls. I like to put it in the lid so I don't get too much product on there. And I'm going to highlight the legs of the bird with some of the blue. I'm just pouncing the color on so I don't smudge that wet ink. So I'm just going to fill in the legs with the blue, not putting too much product on because it tends to leave a halo effect. And I'm going to take some of the gold or yellow and just fill in the body of the bird. So again, don't rub too hard so you don't smudge that wet ink. And just fill in your image, staying as close to the stamped image as possible. And once you get that filled in, let the ink set up a little bit, and then take the larger brush and wipe off any excess perfect pearls so that you have a nice little pearlized image. And then you could bind this with a little bit of water, but I think we're going to be okay. So just go ahead, fill it all in, and then brush off the excess when the ink sets up. I thought it would be fun to do a stamped image, tone-on-tone image with the feather for the background of my sentiment. So I'm just taking my ink dauber and I am filling in this image. I am using Tide Pool for this, so I have a nice tone-on-tone effect. You don't want the dauber to be too wet because it can bleed into the image. And I'm kind of filling the stamp in following the direction of the feather. So go ahead and fill that in. And then once you get lots of ink on there, but not too much, stamp it on to your cardstock. So you're going to find you still get a nice amount of detail with the paint daubers or the ink daubers, but it's a nice tone-on-tone effect, so it'll be a nice background for my sentiment. So then I thought it would be a good idea to stamp the sentiment first, so if it didn't fill the full feather or overlapped, when I cut it out, I wouldn't lose some of the phrase. So I'm just going to put it on my stamp block, and I'm going to ink it up with some black ink. I have the India ink black from Hero Arts, and I'm going to stamp it onto the feather. So nice crisp ink is perfect for this effect. And just go ahead and stamp it up and get lots of ink onto your image. And then we're going to stamp it right on top of the feather. So once you center that on there, just stamp it. Make sure you try to get it into the feather so when you cut it out, you don't lose any of your phrase. And then once I stamp that on there, I let it dry a little bit and then cut it out with my scissors. Now, I like to add a little bit of the feather detail, so I cut into some of the openings. To create the background, I thought it would be fun to use this woodblock stamp from the Stamp Your Story set. It's called Ink Drops, and then some of the ink daubers. So I have Tide Pool here again and Buttercup, and I'm going to create this fun ink splat background using the stamp. I like to start with a lighter color first and then fill it in with color. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink up some of these splats, but not all of them. and then partially add some of the color to a few of them so we can make a green effect when the blue and the yellow blend together. Again, make sure your dauber is not too wet so it doesn't bleed into the image, and then just go ahead and fill this. Now you can add a mist of water if you want it to really look painterly, but I want this to be a little bit crisper, so I'm just going to go ahead and add only paint dauber. And now I'm going to fill some of these in with, and then this will be perfect to create the background effect. When the blue and the orange blend, you have a nice little green color. But make sure when you're done, I like to take the dauber and ink it off onto a little piece of scrap paper or paper towel so the blue isn't contaminated. It'll be nice and blue the next time you go to use it. So I think that's good. I'm just going to fill in a few more spots. And I'm actually going to take my card base and put it directly onto the stamp to create the background. So just put it down on top and just rub your hand over top. You don't move the image. Done, there's the background. That's perfect to put our stamped birdies on top of. To finish the card off, I just mounted the stamped birds onto a piece of green cardstock and highlighted the Perfect Pearls bird with a little circle and some pearls and added the phrase. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to visit the heroarts.com site for more great stamping ideas. See you soon!